mostly what they do is hold summits?
I think that right now the question is, do we all work for central bankers? That's what I want to address to our guest tonight. Is this global governance at last? Is it one world, the central bankers in charge? Jim Iuorio, you say we've got some downside here, a correction in the markets. Fine. But aren't we all just living and dying for what the central banks do? Aren't we all just counting on the fact that there's a Bernanke put and that we won't go any lower than, say, 5% down from here?
Of course we are, because if we look at the economic data, there's nothing to get excited about in that. So yesterday we saw some reluctance for the Bernanke Fed to expand their balance sheets and pump more money in. But the stock market knows that reluctance is totally different than not willing to do it at all. And that's why we saw oil implode and gold trade off heavily, because they're not a protected class. If the stock market starts trading off in the 10 to 15 to 20% area, the chairman's going to come in and throw some stimulus at it. So to answer your question, we are absolutely slaves to central banks, because we'd love to be slaves of the economy, but the economic numbers continue to do nothing but trend lower.
Mr. LeCamp, do we work for the central bankers?
We know that.
Mr. LeCamp,
we
do
do.
we work?
This is free. We do. Look, markets are driven by policy now. They're not driven by market forces. They're driven by fiscal cliffs. They're driven by central bank proclamations. They're driven by false rumors coming out of the ECB.
Fiat currency
really
that's
made it
continually
difficult for
watered
investors.
down. They continue to water our currency down so the markets go up and we feel good about it.
Yeah, and listen to what the Fed did this weekend. I think they really screwed up here. They said that we're going to do this Operation Twist through the end of the year. In other words, they're going to create uncertainty about what happens after Operation Twist, right at the same time that the fiscal cliff kicks in. Do we really want all that uncertainty?
Jim, but we have to give the Fed a break here, because the Fed realizes that what they're doing is probably going to have very little economic effect. The only real thing that can help is fiscal and policy changes. So the Fed, all they have is rocks and stones left. They're just going to throw them. They know that they're probably not going to do any good as well.
Gentlemen, Jim and Jim.
Isn't that why we know that there's going to be QE3? Isn't that why we know there ultimately will be QE3?
That's what I'm banking on.
I love what you said there, Jim LeCamp, about the idea that
ultimately there will be.
Jim LeCamp, which Jim? I'm not sure which one said this, but that we're basically beholden to what the central bankers and policymakers do, rather than to the fundamentals in the economy, because we have not been able to generate real growth without doing one of two things. That is, debasing the currency or borrowing our way to a false prosperity. Jim Iuorio, how do you invest under those circumstances?
Shalom. Kal Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai. First and foremost, I want to give all praises and glory to Yahweh, the Father, Bahashim, coming in the name, Yahweh Shai, the Son, which is Yahweh Shai. Double honors to the apostles of Great Millstone, who've been teaching this truth for a very long time. And salutation to the Akim out there, mainly GMS, who are out in the four corners of the earth pushing this truth diligently. This is Brother Samak from the GMS Miami camp. And what you're just seeing right there is just proof. Oh, once again, just like the apostle is saying, that we are slaves in this country, and we are slaves in this world, whether you are in America or not. All right. And I just want to get to a first scripture. This is Ezekiel 3:17. It says, "Son of man, I have made thee a watchman unto the house of Israel." And that's right. We here at Great Millstone, we are watching diligently for what is happening in the world. And I'm going to show you a couple of articles that came out recently, mainly an article today, that's the reason why I'm making this video, proving the case that we are slaves to central bankers, and these central bankers have an agenda, okay, to make society into a cashless society. All right. Ezekiel chapter 3 verse 17, "Son of man, I have made thee a watchman unto the house of Israel. Therefore hear the word of my mouth and give them warning from me." All right. And Great Millstone is giving you warning. That's why we go out there every Saturday preaching his word, and we do sit down videos like this, okay, because it's in our spirit to do so. The Lord put the spirit in us to do this. All right. So I want to come across, I'm going to give you an article that I came across. which just speaks volumes. Now, this article is from breitbart.com, all right? And if you don't know who Breitbart is, all right, I got a little WikiLeaks from it. Andrew Breitbart was an American conservative publisher who was a commentator to the Washington Times, okay, Drudge Report, the Huffington Post, to name a few. And he also created a website which is called Breitbart.com. So this is a credible news source, all right? As well as certain political figureheads paid homage to this man because he did pass away March 2012, this Edomite, okay, who's the devil. But at the end of the day, all right, his website has a lot of truths in it pertaining to prophecy, okay? And I believe the people that gave him homage was Rick Santorum, Mitt Romney, and Newt Gingrich, to name a few, all right? But anyway, to the main point is this news article. Just to let you know, this is a credible news article. I advise all the brothers in the truth, definitely go into this news article because they come out with a lot of prophetic stories that pertain to what's, to the scriptures. It says right here, governments of the world are coming for your cash. That right there speaks volumes. That right there should, for any of those that are watching this video that are just coming aboard to this truth or still on the fence, this should get your mind in gear to get in tune with them scriptures and know your true power, okay? Because these central bankers are about to drop the hammer on this planet. So I'm just going to scroll down and get to the point. Large denomination physical cash is going to be outlawed if central bankers have their way. The push toward a fully digitized monetary system where every transaction will be recorded, scrutinized, controlled, and taxed is being sold to the public as some miracle elixir to cure the world of criminal behavior. That right there, in big, bold black letters, just proves what Great Millstone has been saying over and over and over again, man, that we're going into a cashless society. Okay, apostles of GMS are mainly Apostle Tahar, okay, with the mark of the beast, all right, the chip, okay. And this is the year of the push, like he said, this is the year of the push, all right, because there's a lot of things that are happening this year that if you're not aware, man, you're going to get caught out there. It can be argued that up until a few years ago, there were still ways to exist off the grid and operate outside the monetary system. But the implementation of negative interest rates has now virtually assured that cash, as we know it, is on its last leg. So, let me get you a scripture, another one. This is Psalms 118:8. It is better to trust in the Lord than to put confidence in man. That's right, because a lot of our people, you so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, you have a problem by putting confidence in men, mainly the so-called white man, which, if you just connect the dots, okay, from this video that I showed you to this article, this so-called white man's about to set an agenda that you're not going to be able to buy or sell unless you take that chip, all right? So you must put your confidence in the Lord, and that's why you need to get back with these scriptures. So continue on back with this news article. Okay? You can have cash or you can have negative interest rates, but you can't have both. If negative interest rates are further reduced, that could be described as what could be described as a slow motion bank runs will likely ensue. That's right. Because if the wealthy people, okay, see that their money has no value, they're going to pull it out of the banks. There's no point in having it there. They're not making a profit. And they're going to invest in other commodities. I mean, for example, like gold. All right? And so what's that going to do? That's going to cause a run on the banks. Just like what happened if you do any type of research, the Great Depression of the 1930s. Okay? 1929, what kicked off. Continuing on, the common man, seeing this hard-earned savings robbed with each declining monthly bank statement, will finally awaken from complacency and begin actively withdrawing their money in physical form, thereby endangering the very foundation of fractional reserve finance. And that's exactly what we live in, is fractional reserve, meaning the bank only has certain amount of cash on hand in their bank vaults, but they have on their balance sheet saying that they have well beyond the amount that's actually in their bank. For example, if I'm a banker and I have $1 million on cash, okay, because of this fractional reserve finance policy, I can say I have 10 million, okay, even though I only have $1 million on hand, physical form of cash. Okay, there's plenty of books to read into this if you're interested in this. You have End the Fed, which is Ron Paul, which he breaks that down. And you also have a book known as The Creatures from Jekyll Island, The Second Look, by Edward G. Griffin, okay? To name a few that have written on what fractional reserve is all about. Banks can't exist without deposits. Keeping money in a mattress is preferable to being financially bled to death with negative rates, right? Because you're not making a profit off the money that you're having in the bank vaults. Central bankers are well aware of this and are already pre-positioning policies and taking steps to prevent the coming exodus, outlawing large denominational physical cash and large cash transactions will be used to financially imprison the public while the negative interest rates simultaneously pick their pockets. Woo! That right there, you need to get your head in the Bible, man, because believing in mammon is believing in this fiat currency is going to be detrimental to your way of life, man. And let's get a news article to back that. Scrap the $100 bill and make life tougher for criminal Larry Summers. You know who Larry Summers is? Larry Summers was the former Secretary of Treasury under the Bill Clinton administration, okay? The $100 bill should be scrapped to make things more difficult for tax cheats and other criminals, according to former Treasury Secretary Larry Summers. Okay? And you can read this article to name a few if you want to get into that. Okay? So you're already having these well-renowned politicians talking about getting rid of the large dollars like the $100 bill, okay? To stop criminals, quote unquote. Let's get back to the article again. How long will negative rates have to go before you withdrew all of your money from the bank? In negative territory, look at all these countries as we speak that are in negative interest rates. Japan, European Central Bank, Sweden, Denmark, Switzerland. All right? And eventually it's going to come here to America. So this is all public information. You can look this up. Continuing on. Laugh all you want, pretend this is just another conspiracy theory run amok. But these policies are already set in motion in Europe, with the U.S. trailing not far behind. Under the guise of stopping criminal activity, ending corruption. What was one of the corruptions? The LIBOR interest corruption, okay, to name a few. And fighting the global war on terror. The last bastion of financial freedom is now being sacrificed to prop up a debt tsunami. Now let's get into an article about the fighting the global war on terror. All right. This is the U.S. The Business Insider. The U.S. is worried that American cash is flowing to ISIS in Iran from the Fed. The Federal Reserve. So this is how you know that Esau, the so-called white man, okay, is playing both sides of the fence. This is what Freemasonry is all about. Duality. On one hand, they're being wicked, they're promoting terrorism, they're funding terrorists. On the other hand, they're giving you the solution, okay? Problem, reaction, solution, okay? The Hegelian dialect, okay? So right here, you're already seeing that America funds terrorists. The U.S. Federal Reserve is worried that American currency is falling to the hands of ISIS militants and sanctioned regimes, according to the Wall Street Journal. And this came out November 5th, 2015, not long ago. Cash shipments to Iraq have dramatically increased in recent years despite a sluggish Iraqi economy, and officials are concerned that some of the exchange houses that buy this currency are funneling dollars to groups like ISIS, also known as the Islamic State, and sanctioned governments like Iran. Quote, foreign central banks hold dollars and can call on the Fed for currency distribution, they wrote. Okay. The new $100 notes are flown to Baghdad after leaving a Fed facility in East Rutherford, New Jersey. The bills are moved to the Iraqi Central Bank, where they are sold in daily auctions in which Iraqi financial firms request dollars that they pay for, largely using dinars, the country's currency. So you having the Iraqi financial firms using their Iraqi dinars to buy American $100 bills, okay? And which they take those $100 bills, and of course, you already know the gig. They're out there giving this money to whoever wants it. The cash shipments went from $3.85 billion in 2012 to $13.66 billion in 2014. And what a coincidence. During 2014-15, that's when ISIS rose into power. You see that? Raising eyebrows in the U.S., the Journal reported, adding that officials were worried that Iraqis were hoarding dollars rather than circulating the currency in the economy. The U.S. also suspects that the money was being sent to 3 sanctioned banks in Iran, as well as ISIS militants, according to the Journal. Iraqi officials reportedly confirmed that the money had gone to ISIS through currency auctions. And just to let you know, I'm going to put all these news articles in this video, okay, in the YouTube subscription, so you can read it for yourself, all right? This isn't made up stuff. This is actually what's going on. Continuing on. Back to this news article. And okay, this news article came out today. That's the reason why. Because this news article is so powerful, I had to do a video on it. All right? There's no excuses. All right? You either get right with the Most High or die. Global debt has increased by over $57 trillion since 2007. At these levels, sovereign debt in particular cannot be repaid with sound currency. Rather than dealing with the debt and slowing its growth to levels below the rate inflation, the central banker's solution is to instead destroy physical cash and punish savers. All right? And let's get into another article to prove that. Banks don't want these clients' cash. Report. This is from CNBC. Came out December 2014. New government regulations make loads of extra cash a burden for banks, which have privately urged major clients to take their deposits elsewhere or face fears. Hence the term run on the banks. Okay? The Wall Street Journal reported late on Sunday. The banks included JP Morgan Chase, Citigroup, HSBC, Deutsche Bank, and Bank of America. Sources familiar with the situation told the Journal. Deposits have been a key part of banking and have traditionally been free for large clients, the paper said. Read this part. This part right here, let me blow this up, because this right here makes a lot of sense of why we're going into a cashless society. The new U.S. bank rules that the effect on January 1st required higher minimum reserves to protect banks from sudden outflows during a situation like the 2000 financial crisis, the paper said. Those requirements make holding large, uninsured deposits more expensive for banks, which pass on the cost as client fees of possibly several thousand of dollars. So instead of the banks paying for this, they're passing the cost onto their clients. And those clients are going to end up doing what? Pulling their money out of the bank. Because they're saying, what's the point if you're going to charge me for holding my money in your bank? Okay? Makes a lot of sense, does it not? But it doesn't make sense to a 2/3 so-called Black, Hispanic, Native American, okay? Because you motherfuckers are so, I'm sorry for using foul language, but it just has to be. You are so wrapped up in the world. And you other camps too, Israel United in Christ, GOCC, ISUPK. This is what you should be bringing out. You should be getting your people ready for what's to come. All right? Not playing games, talking about we got to build black communities, we got to build schools, we got to build homes. No, motherfuckers. We better get right for what's about to break loose. Corporate soldiers told the paper that their institution must accommodate greater expenses or push their funds to riskier savings instruments. Since the federal deposit insurance covers up to $250,000, retail deposits should not be affected, the journal said. The European Central Bank's decision to charge firms for holding cash at the ECB has resulted in fees for euro deposits by institutional clients such as JP Morgan Chase and Bank of New York Mellon. Okay, so that's what's happening. The clients are leaving, and they don't, banks don't want these clients clash anymore because, hey, at the end of the day, the banks are the ones who tell their clients, look, man, we don't need your money anymore. All right. Because once again, it's all staged. The duality, the left hand working the right hand, okay? Because that's what these elite think. They think they're God, all right? So let's get into another scripture. 1 Peter 5:8. Be sober, be vigilant, because your adversary, the devil, the deceiver, the so-called white man, these international bankers, the central bankers, okay? As a roaring lion walketh about seeking whom he may devour. And that's you so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. Because you don't know what's going on. A majority of you aren't in tune with what's going on in the financial world, are not in tune with certain financial terms. So you're going to get caught up out there. All right? Let's get back to this article once again. I'm going to skip this paragraph. I'm getting to this point. Allowing politicians and central banks to implement negative rates is like giving your teenage son a bottle of whiskey and the keys to the Ferrari. It will only lead to trouble. Arguments that the economy of the world is stable and improving does not match up with the over $7 trillion in mounting sovereign debt at negative interest rates that requires no interest payments. Okay? Publicly stated reasons for eliminating cash are nothing but a red herring to fool the public into supporting this move and relinquishing their financial freedom without a fight. Criminality of all sorts will always exist with or without physical cash, but admitting to the world that the system itself will implode if ordinary people opt out of the banking system, that is what is really at stake. Here are just some of the steps being taken to force the world into a cashless environment. It is illegal to buy anything in France costing more than 1,000 euros with physical cash. The number is down from 3,000 euros just a few years ago. Spain has banned cash transactions above 2,500 euros. Italy banned cash transaction about 1,000 euro. Germany Deputy Finance Minister Michael Mester wants 5,000 cap on cash transactions. Former Treasury Secretary Larry Summers is calling for ending the $100 bill and wants Europe to retire the $500 euro. This would effectively remove over 50% of all physical currency currently in circulation in Europe and the U.S. The head of the European Central Bank, Mario Draghi, along with the growing list of former and current banking officials, is calling for ending the $500 euro. See how they're doing this? They're doing this in increments, man. Increments. Okay? They can't do this real quickly because then the people will bug out. They do it slowly. And then people are like, oh, it's only 500 euros. Then they say, no, now you can't take out 100. And that's how they do it, man. That's what the devil does. He's subtle. Just like he did when he went to Eve. Subtle. It's all subtle. That's how they do this. Below is the breakdown of U.S. currency. The $100 bill represents over 78% of physical currency in circulation, okay? Much of these $100 bills, along with the large denominational euros, are used as storehouses of value in many third world countries. What happens when someone in, say, Zimbabwe goes to cash in their foreign U.S. dollars and is told that $100 bills are no longer recognized? That's right. They kill. Because the elite want to kill a lot of these third world countries off. Because the third world countries are waking up to the bullshit, man. It's only here in America that majority, okay, mainly you so-called blacks, Hispanics, that are still gullible with the system, okay, because you're putting confidence in men. Here we go. Janet Yellen, who's now the chairman of the Federal Reserve, has said she will not rule out negative interest rates here in the U.S., Canada, in the U.S., Slovakia. Canada is contemplating them too. If their economy continues to falter, the writing's on the wall that the trend is toward negative rather than positive rates across the globe. If we reach a point in the U.S. where the Fed feels it must implement negative rates, then the capital controls are already in place will only expand and the days of paying cash will be numbered. There you go. All right? Let's go to another article. Oh, man. The spinning wheel of death. Bear with me. Hopefully this thing... There we go. Come on. There we go. Why banks just don't want your cash. Marketplace.org. For years, people have been making next to nothing interest on their savings account. If they think that's going to change now, the Fed is raising its interest rates. They're going to be very disappointed, which the Fed did. All right, but now they're discussing what? Bringing interest rates to negative. Because look at the global financial system. It's in the red. Banks are raising the rates they charge on loans in response to the Fed, but they are largely not moving the rates they pay on savings accounts. It may sound a little strange, but banks really don't have more money right now. Why is that? Well, guarantee on what they're not going to report this. But certain clients are going to are right now removing their money out of these financial institutions, these banking institutions. All right. Big banks not wanting money sounds weird to consumers because they think of banks as places that hold their money. But banks and their shareholders are in the business of making money. That's the reason why. So they're like, hey, what's the point of having cash on hand when we can go into a digital outlook? All right. And I believe in this article, it talks about that being the case. All right. At the top, when they say that they'd rather go to a digitalized to be able to control tax and make money off it that way. All right. So there you go. There you have it. I'm going to go to one more. This is the chip now. This came out February 19, 2016. Local12.com. NKU student wants to be first with chip implanted. There you go. This is in Cincinnati, Ohio. They reported this. It's here. You can't deny it. The guy says a growing tech trend takes personal computing to its highest level. Hardly bigger than a grain of rice. It's a radio frequency identification device implemented between Fry thumbs and index finger using an app on his phone. Frey uses the chip to open up the deadbolt on his front door and unlock his phone. All right. Frey's chip was injected using a syringe. He had a professional do it. The chip and his insertion cost him $150. This is how, and this is why, man, you 2/3, man, you just got to be killed off. Because you idiots will pay for it. Because Esau, being the devil that he is, okay, he's going to make some of y'all pay to get this chip. And some of y'all going to do it. Y'all going to pay you $150. Okay? He's had it more than a year, but just recently told his parents, and it says right here, his parents were okay with it. It goes to show you that your parents ain't right, man. So you can read this article too, just to prove the case that that's where it's going. And last but not least, one of the best scriptures out there, man, like that was written 2,000 years ago. And look, we're seeing it manifest. We are seeing it happening right before our very eyes. And a lot of you are still sleeping on the wheel. Revelation 13:16. And he causes all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand and in their foreheads. All right? There you go. And if you look this up, just go to Revelation. Let's just, wait, hold on. You know what? Let's just read the whole thing because it just, and verse 17, and that no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. Period. All right. So that right there is what I want to throw out once again. that are on the fence, straddling the fence. You need to get in tune with what's going on. And once again, the water to the apostles of GMS for constantly pushing this truth out, starting from the apostles all the way down, okay? Because, all right, y'all got the truth, man, and I pay homage to those that have the truth, okay? Not being a man pleaser, just this is something that I've been researching on before I got into this truth. And then when I got into the truth, this is validated that, man, this is the only outlet to escape what's about to happen, is having faith in the Most High and putting your mind, your spirit, your soul, your blood into the Most High, okay? So I just want to give all praises and glory to Yahweh, Bahashim Yahweh Shai. Double honors to the apostles of Great Millstone. Salutation to the Akim out there, mainly in GMS, who's pushing this truth throughout the four corners of the earth. This is Brother Samak from the GMS Miami camp, giving you another lesson, and with articles proving that we are in the last days. Shalom.